We continue now at the top of Daf Kuf Yud Amud Aleph in Mesechet Sanhedrin. This is Sanhedrin Daf 110a. The Gemara is in the middle of describing how the wife of On ben Peles, she saved him from the punishment that would happen to the Adas Korach, the congregation of Korach. And the Gemara said in the previous Amud that she had him get drunk and he was inside the house, and she sat at the front of the house who started Lamazia, and she exposed her hair and called the Asa. So everyone that came, Chazia saw her, and Hadra, they went back because they kept the laws of modesty. Rashi explains Sasra Lamazia is Sarah, that's referring to her hair. V'yashval Pesach Habayis, again she sat with exposed hair at the entrance of her house. Kal Misha Yabba Likro Roa Rosha Paru V'chozer, everyone who came to call him, they saw that her hair was uncovered, and therefore they went back. And the Gemara continues, Adohachi v'hachi, in the meantime, Ivlu Lahu, they were swallowed up, the Adas Korach was swallowed up and punished, and On ben Peles, he avoided that punishment. And the Gemara continues, Itasei de Korach, the wife of Korach, Amra Le, she said to Korach, Chazi mai ka'avin Moshe, look what Moshe is doing. Iyu have Malka, he's the king. La'achua Shavia Kahana Rabbi, he's making his brother the Kohen Gadol. Livnei Achoy Shavinu Signed de Kahana, he's making the sons of his brother, they're the vice Kohen Gadols. Iasya Truma, and if someone brings Truma, Amar Tavel Kohen, he says it should go to the Kohen. Iasu Meiser, if people bring Meiser, the Shakiltu Atun, which you're the one who takes, Amar, so then Moshe says, Havu Chad Miyad LeKohen, you have to give 1/10 to the Kohen. V'yoden further, the guy is lei lemazaychu, that he's cutting your hair, umetalil lechu ki kufsa, and he waves you like excrement. Eino yoav b'mazaychu, he set his eyes upon your hair, and so therefore he's treating you in an improper manner. That's what the wife of Korach said to Korach about Moshe. Amar lo, so he said to her, Korach said back to his wife, Ha'iyu nami kavid, he's also doing the same thing, he's also cutting his own hair. Amar le, she said to him, Kevan dekulu revusa didei, since it's all for his own honor ultimately. Amar ihu nami tamas nafshi in plishtim, so he says to himself, my soul should die with the plishtim. In other words, Moshe Rabbeinu is willing to do that to himself because ultimately he's going to be the leader. And she continued, V'yoden further, T'kamar lechu, he's saying to you, Avidatu techelta, you should make techelas, you should make the tzitzis for the garments. Isal gadaitach techelta chashiva mitzvah, if you think that techelas is a mitzvah. Apik lime de techelta, we should have entire cloaks made out of techelas. V'chasinu lekulu mesiftach, and all of the students of the academy should wear them. And the Gemara continues and comments on this entire conversation. Hainu dichsiv, that's what it means when it's written in the pasuk. Chachmos noshim bansa, base of the wisdom of women that builds the household. Zu ishto shall On ben Peles. That's a reference to On ben Peles because she acted wisely and she saved her husband. But in contrast, the pasuk continues, Vivelas biyoda tersena, and the folly with her hands, she plucks it down. Zu ishto shall Korach, that refers to the wife of Korach. And Rashi explains, the guy is lemazaychu, he cuts your hair, dichsiv, as it's written in the pasuk, with regards to the kohanim, vehaviru sar al kol besarim, it talks about taking the razor to all of their flesh, and she understood that to mean, or she explained that to Korach to mean, umisachik b'chem, that he's like laughing at you, kilu atem shotim, as if you're fools, kekufsa, he's laughing at you, kekufsa, rei, like excrement, as we said. And then she continued and said to Korach, Eino yohav, ayin nosan b'sarechem, he set his eye on your hair, kedei shelo yehei b'chem tzura kamoso, so you shouldn't look like him. Amar lo, so then Korach said to her, he said back to his wife, Amar la Korach said to her, Iyu nami, Moshe atzmo gilach kol sa'aro, Moshe also, he's also shaved all of his hair. And she responded, Kevan dekula revusa dideyu, since it's all for his benefit that he's going to be the leader, Eino chosheshem gilach atzmo, he doesn't care if he shaves himself. Dekamar lenafshe Thomas nafshi and plishtim, it's like he's saying to himself, let me die with the plishtim, meaning exo sari kamosam, I'll also cut my hair like them. Umali bekach sheim mekaymen afilu mashani metzave lischok agzuz achshav kamosam kedei l'hafez daitam, I'll do exactly what they're doing, and that way it'll calm them, and ultimately I'll get what I want. And Rashi continues, V'yod kamar lechu, and furthermore, he's saying to you, asu psil techelas bedalet kanfos habeged, you should have fringes of techelas on the four corners of the garment. V'yisal kadaitach techelas chashav, if you think that techelas is important, mimnei malo yomer lasos kol habeged kulo techelas, why doesn't he say to make the entire beged, to make all of it techelas? And finally, Rashi continues, she said to her husband Korach, Apik glima de tchelta, take out an entire cloak that's tchelas, kachelcha begodim shel tchelas, garments of tchelas take for yourself, v'chasinu l'kulam esiftach, you should use that to cover all of the students of the academy, v'chisa ben bebeis hamedrash atah v'chavrusach, you and all of your colleagues, you should use those, you should wear those garments. And the Gemara continues, the pasuk says, by Korach, vayakumu lifnei Moshe, va'anoshim mibnei Yisrael chamishim u'masayim. It says they got up before Moshe, and men from Bnei Yisrael, 250 men. And the Gemara explains, miyuchadim shebe'eda, these were the special ones among the congregation. And then the pasuk says, kriyei moed. What does that mean, kriyei moed? Shayu yodim la'aber shanim v'likvah chadashim. It means that they knew how to decide whether the year should be a leap year. They knew how to establish the months. And then the pasuk says, anshe shem. What does anshe shem mean? That they had a name throughout the entire world. And the Gemara continues, the pasuk says over there, Vayishma Moshe vayipol al panav. It says Moshe heard, he fell on his face. Mashmu Hashama. What exactly did he hear? And the Gemara says, Amar Reb Shmuel bar Nachmani, Amar Reb Yonasan. Reb Shmuel bar Nachmani says that Reb Yonasan says shechashdu me'eshasish, that they suspected him of being with married women. Shenamar, it says in the pasuk, Vayikanu l'Moshe b'machana. It says that they were jealous of Moshe in the machana, in the camp. This is from the pasuk in Tehillim. And Amar Reb Shmuel bar Yitzchak, Reb Shmuel bar Yitzchak says, what does this pasuk mean to say? Melamed shekol echad ve'echad. It teaches that every single person, every man, kinei es ishto mi Moshe, he warned his wife from Moshe, as if Moshe was going to take these married women. Shenemar, as it says in the pasuk, Moshe yikach es ha'oel v'nato lo michutz lamachane. It says Moshe took the tent and he established the tent outside of the camp. And the Gemara continues, the pasuk says over there, Vayakam Moshe vayelech al Dasan va'aviram. It says Moshe got up and he went to Dasan and Aviram. And the Gemara says from this, Amar Reish Lakish says, Mikan shein machzikin b'machlokas. From here we see that a person should not continue an argument, even though really Moshe should not have been the one that had to go over to Dasan and Aviram to stop the machlokas. But nevertheless, there's an idea of not continuing a machlokas. That's why Moshe went over to them to stop the machlokas. And the Gemara continues, because Rav says, anybody who continues in arguments over balav, he transgresses a law, a negative commandment, shenemar, as it says in the pasuk, v'lo yeh kekorach v'chadasa. One should not be like Korach and his congregation. And the Gemara continues, Rav Ashi says, somebody who is machzik b'machlokas, who continues arguments or strengthens arguments, roy litzdara, he's actually fit that he should get saras. And where do we see that? Because ksiv hach, it's written over here, biyad Moshe lo, it uses the phrase biyad Moshe lo, uchsiv hasam, and it's written over there, vayomer Hashem lo od have no yodcha b'chaykech. It says you should again place your hand, take your hand out from your lap. That was talking about getting saras. It was talking about saras on the hand, and so you understand from this that anyone who's machzik b'machlokas is fit to get saras. And the Gemara continues, Amar Rabbi Yossi says, Kol hacholek al malchus beis David, anybody who argues on the kingship of the house of David HaMelech, roi lahakisho nachash, it's fit that person is bit by a snake. And the Gemara continues with the source for this idea. Ksiv hacha, it's written over here, Vayizbach Adoniyot sonu v'akor muri im even hazocheles, and this is talking about the rebellion of Adoniyahu against his father. He was cholek al malchus beis David. He argued against the kingship of the house of David HaMelech. Uchsiv hasam, and it's written over there a similar language. It says im chamas zocha le'afar, and that's talking about the poison from the snakes. And therefore, since it says even hazocheles and it says zocha le'afar, again we understand that anybody who argues on the malchus beis David is fit to be bit by a snake. And we will note the Mesoras Hashas says instead of Amar Rav Yossi, it should be Amar Rav Yosef. And the Gemara continues, Amar Rav Chisda says, Kol hacholek al Rabbu, anyone who disagrees with his Rebbe, kecholek al Hashchina, it's like disagreeing with the Shechina, with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shenemar, as it says in the pasuk, B'hatzosam al Hashem, the pasuk over here says it's against Hashem, even though it was really against Moshe and Aaron. So you see, it's kecholek, it's as if one is disagreeing with the Shechina. And the Gemara continues, Amar Reb Chama bar Reb Chanina, Reb Chama bar Reb Chanina says, Kol ha'osa meriva im Rabbu, anyone who starts a quarrel with his Rebbe, ka'osa im Shechina, it is like starting a quarrel with the Shechina, with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shenemar, as it says, Hema mei meriva, these are the waters of Meriva, asher ravu b'nei Yisrael, as Hashem, again it says that they quarreled with Hashem, and again in this situation as well, they were actually quarreling against the leaders of Klal Yisrael, they were actually quarreling against the Rebbeim, so to speak, but it's as if they quarreled against Hashem. And the Gemara continues, Amar Reb Chanina bar Papa, Reb Chanina bar Papa says, Kol ha-misroim al Rabbu, anybody who expresses resentment, who complains against his Rebbe, kilu misroim al Hashchina, it's like expressing resentment against the Shechina, Shenemar, as it says in the pasuk, Lo aleinu tu lo nosechem ki al Hashem, it's not you, it's not against us that you're complaining, it is against Hashem. And the Gemara continues, Rabbi Avo says, Kol ha-maharach Rabbu, anybody who thinks that his Rebbe is doing bad things, Ki'ilu maharach ha-shchina, it's like thinking that about the Shechina. Shenemar, as it says in the Pasuk, Vayedaber ha'am be'elokim u'v'Moshe, it says that the nation spoke against Hashem and against Moshe, again, equating the two. And the Gemara continues, the Pasuk says, and this is a Pasuk in Koheles, Osher Shamar L'Balav L'Raso, it says that wealth is kept for its owner, but it's L'Raso, all that wealth is really for his bad. Amar Reish Lakish says that Osher Shal Korach, this is referring to the wealth of Korach, all that wealth, it ended up being bad for him. And the Gemara continues, it says all of that holds up. It's referring here to wealth, as the Gemara is about to say. This pasuk is in Sefer Devarim, but it's in reference to the episode with Korach. And so Amar Rabbi Elazar says, Zememono shaladam, when it talks about kol hayakum asher b'ragleim, it's really talking about the money that a person has. Shema'amido al raglav, that's what stands a person up on his feet. And the Gemara continues, V'amar Rabbi Levi, and Rabbi Levi says, Masui gimul meyos predus levanos. It took a burden of 300 white mules. Hayum aftechos shel beiskin nozov shel Korach. That's what the keys of the treasuries of Korach, that's what they weighed just to move those keys. It took 300 mules. V'kulu aklidu klipa de gild, and all of these, they were all these keys and the locks, they were all made of leather. And the Gemara continues, Amar Rabbi Chama b'Rabbi Chanina says, Gimel matmonios hitman Yosef b'Mitzrayim. There were 3 treasures that Yosef hid in Mitzrayim. Achas nisgalsa l'Korach, one was revealed to Korach, that's how he became so wealthy. V'achas nisgalsa l'Antoninos ben Asvirus, one of them was revealed to Antoninus, the emperor. V'achas genuzo l'tzadikim lasad lavu, and one is hidden for the tzadikim, for the righteous in the future. And the Gemara continues, V'yamar Rabbi Yochanan, and Rabbi Yochanan says, Korach lo min habluim v'lo min hasrufin. Korach was not one of the ones that was swallowed up by the earth, and he wasn't burned. He actually died by the plague. And the Gemara continues, lo min habluim, how do we know he wasn't from among those that were swallowed up? D'chsiv, because it's written, V'yaskol adam asher l'Korach, all the people with Korach, v'lo Korach, but not Korach himself. V'lo min hasrufim, he also wasn't among those who were burned. D'chsiv, as it's written, B'chol ha'eshes chamishim u'masayim ish, v'lo Korach, it says the fire burned the 250 men, but Korach was not included. And the Gemara continues, B'mas Nisatan, in the Brisa was taught, Korach min hasrufin umin habluin. Korach was among the ones who were burned and among those who were swallowed. Min habluim d'chsiv, it says he was among those who were swallowed, as it's written. Bativla osam v'yas Korach, it said it swallowed them and Korach. Korach is included. And min hasrufin is also among those who were burned, d'chsiv, as it's written, v'yesh yotza me'ez Hashem v'atochal es chamishim v'sayim ish, it says the fire consumed 250 men, v'Korach b'hadayu, and Korach actually was together with them. And the Gemara continues, Amar Rava says, Ma'idich what does it mean when it's written in the Pasuk? There's a Pasuk in Chabakok, Shemesh, Yareach, Amad, Zavula. It says the sun, the moon, they were in the area where they reside, La'or chitzecha yahalechu. But the Pasuk then says that according to the light of your arrows they go. What is that pasuk referring to? The Gemara says, Malamed, it teaches, Sha'alu Shemesh v'Yareach l'Zvul, the Shemesh and the Reach, the sun and the moon, they went up to the Zvul, which is one of the areas of the heavens. Amru lafan of Ribonu Shalom, and they said before HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Master of the world, Imata osa din leven Amram, if you do justice for the son of Amram, for Moshe Rabbeinu, if you make sure that he wins in this argument, so to speak, with Korach, then Neitzeh, then we'll go out, we'll do what we're supposed to do. The sun and the moon will come out in the sky as they are supposed to. But if not, lo neitzeh, we're not going to come out. And they said this until finally HaKadosh Baruch Hu had to throw arrows at them to force them to come out. Amar lahen, he said to them, Bechvodi lo mechisam, in my honor you don't protest. Bechvod basar v'dam mechisam, but for the honor of flesh and blood for Moshe Rabbeinu, suddenly you're protesting. And the Gemara continues and mentions, V'o'ina nowadays lo nafki adamachulahu. They actually don't come out until HaKadosh Baruch Hu strikes them. And Rashi explains, Bechvodi lo mechisam, first of all, you don't protest in my honor, or for my honor, Shari bechol yom, malchei Mizrach Chumar, because every day, the kings of the east and the west, B'shasham anichin kisrein borosham, mishtachim l'chamed, they bow to the sun. V'yidna lo nafki ad demachulahu, and the Gemara then said, nowadays they don't come out until they are struck, shekach gozer aleim hamakam, that was the decree that HaKadosh Baruch Hu made, Kain Shamati, says Rashi, that's what I heard. Lishnachrin, another explanation, V'yidna lo nafki me'achar shero, means as follows, after they saw Shehikvin HaKadosh Baruch Hu al Shalom Michu L'chvodo, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu was angry that they didn't protest for his honor, ad demachu lehu, until they were struck, lo nafki, ad demachu lehu lo nafki, they don't go out until they're struck, shechashu l'chvod hamakom al bnei adam shemishtachavim l'shemesh v'yarech, because they are concerned about the honor of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that people bow to the sun and the moon. And the Gemara continues, Dorash, Rava, Darshans, Ma'idich Siv. What does it mean when it's written in the Pasuk? And this is in Sefer Bamidbar again by the episode of Korach. It says, V'imbriya Yivra Hashem, if HaKadosh Baruch Hu creates a creation, Upotso Hadamo Espia, that the earth opens its mouth. And the Gemara explains, Amar Moshe Lefnei HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Moshe said before HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Im Briya Gehenim, if Gehenim's already created, Mutav, then good. V'im Lavin, if it's not yet created, Yivra Hashem, then Hashem should create it. And the Gemara continues, Lamai for what? Ileimo lemivri mamish, if we mean to say actually creating it. But there's nothing new under the sun. Something cannot be created from nothing at this point. And so the Gemara says, rather what it means is to bring the entrance of Gehenim close by, that it should be able to swallow them up. And the Gemara continues, the Pasuk says, Uvnei Korach lo mesu, it says the sons of Korach, they did not die. And the Gemara says, Tana Mishum Rabbeinu was taught in the name of our Rebbe, Amru, they said, Makom nisbatzer lahem beGehenim, that there's a place that's designated in Gehenim, v'yashvu olav, that they sit upon it, they're able to sit on that place in Gehenim, v'yamru shira, and on that ledge, so to speak, they say shira, they sing songs. Amar Rabba Bar Chana says, Zim nechada havaka azlina b'orcha, one time I was going on the road, Amar Liya Hutai, a particular Arab, said to me, Tava ach vilach, Belue de Korach, come and I'll show you those who were swallowed up in the congregation of Korach. Azel chaza trey busy to have a konafki kitchaminayu, and he went and he saw that there were two fissures in the earth and there was smoke coming out of them. Shakal gevava diamr, he took some wool, amshemaya, put on some water, va'osve bereish romche, and put it at the tip, at the head of his spear, v'ichlefei hasam, and he passed it over those fissures with smoke and ichrich, and they were singed. That shows how hot it was. Amar Lei said to him, Otzis, listen, Mashamat, listen to what you hear. V'shamis, and I heard the Havaka'amri that they were saying as follows. The Havaka'amri Hachi that they were saying as follows. They said, Moshe v'Toraso emes. They said, Moshe and his Torah are true. V'hein badoim, and they are liars, referring to themselves. And we will continue with this discussion in the next video on Daf Yud Amid Beis.